Shalom, welcome back. We are continuing our listen and learn with visual cues, directed biblical Hebrew immersion in the book of Qoheleth, that's Ecclesiastes. Currently, we're on chapter 4, verse 14. Let's go. I will scan it first. Ki mibeit hasurim yatsa limlokh ki gam b'malchuto nolad rash. Okay? כי מבית hasurim יצא limlokh כי גם במלכותו נולד rash. Okay. Ki, kaf, yod. Now this can mean a lot of things, all right? Now, Chun Leong Seow, last name Seow, a famous Hebrew scholar, says that in this case, it should mean for one, for another. All right, but we have two keys here. Ki, and then later coming up, ki. Ki mibeit hasurim yatsa limlokh, ki gam b'malchuto nolad rash. Right, so for one, for another. So let me just write that on the screen in case you like his interpretation. I will go with hyperliteral instead, but I want you to see he's recommending the context to be for one, for another, Okay. Talking about those usages with the keys, the Florida keys. Okay. Now, key, it can mean for, like FOR, or that, if, when, then. It can be an exclamation point. We call the key emphaticum, or pardon me, emphatic key. I was thinking vav emphaticum. Okay. So I'll just go with for now. For, mibeit. Oops, I didn't colorize that guy. Let's fix that. So that's, of course, min combined with bait. Min, the noon went inside of the dagesh there. So min bait. Bait's the construct from bayit, house. So literally, min bait became mib bait from house of hasurim. Now, hasurim is a bit difficult to analyze when you first look at it because it looks like it's saying the turners, right? The tusul, samech, shurik, resh means turn, right? Like turn aside, like you're not supposed to turn to the left or to the right from the law of God, right? But actually, what this is it's there's an aleph that should be there, asurim. And asul, the verb aleph samech resh, asar actually, is to bind, to bind. So asul is a passive participle, to be bound. So ha-surim are the ones who are bound up, like tied up, right? So beit ha-asul, or beit ha-asurim, is a prison or a dungeon, right? It's like a jail. It's the house of the ones who are bound. You understand? So the aleph has just disappeared. That happens sometimes. Alephs in later biblical Hebrew, which is where Qoheleth fits, they are beginning to elide. Pardon me, they're beginning to lose their consonantal properties, and some scribes wouldn't even write them, right? And there's a great example. I can't remember which scholar I learned this from, but let me check. It's probably Rabbi Fox. I was looking at his stuff a lot to find nice explanations for things. So let's assume Dr. Rabbi Fox. So he makes a nice example that the same thing happens in Second Chronicles, chapter 22, verse 5, where we have haramim. Oops, I didn't dot the yod there. There's a long chirik. Haramim, where the aleph has gone away. It's ha'aramim, the Arameans, you see? So it's just gone. So that's good. Okay. So just another example of the same thing happening, but it does make the text a little bit more difficult to decipher if you don't recognize these. So ki mibeit hasurim, for from the house, because the last word is definite in the chain, we can say the, from the house. Remember, when you have a construct chain, the definiteness gets imparted to the other words in the chain. So mi, from the beit, the house of hasurim, of Just say prison or dungeon. The house of being tied up. The house of being binded. Yatsa, Yod Sadi Aleph. He came out. Limlokh, limlokh. Lamed is two, and then malach is the verb. It's in an infinitive form. Limlokh, to reign. So he came out of prison to reign. It sounds kind of derogatory, right? Ki, for, or we go with Seow's interpretation, for another, gam, also, b'malchuto, in the kingdom of O, in his kingdom. Nolad, rash. So this is nolad, it's a nifal, the noon tips you off. And what's happened is this is a pay yod verb. Sorry, I hit the microphone there. That's where the first letter is a yod, and they often disappear. So it actually has disappeared here. The yod is gone, and instead we just have a vav there, or a waw in ancient times, but it's going to be an o sound. So instead of yalad, which is to birth, it's nolad, to be born. So is born, rash, resh, shin. And this is a call participle. And it's from a hollow verb. That's a verb that has a waw or a vav for the second root letter. There you can see, if you're watching, we just had a u show up. So the verb resh, vav, shin means to become poor, to become poor. So as a call participle, it's just acting kind of like a verbal adjective. So nolad is born, rash, poor. He's born poor. Sorry for many of the red notes. That doesn't match our definiteness. But if you look, the hue is a little bit different than the definiteness if you're watching. It's just that when I do recordings in this way, I cannot easily change the colors. Okay, let's go through that again. This time, try to translate before I do. Ki, for, or going with Seow, for one, mibeit hasurim, is from the house of hasurim. It should have been hey aleph samech shurek resh yod mem asurim, the ones who are tied up. So from the prison or the jail, yatsa, he comes out. He came out limlokh, to rule. Ki mibeit hasurim yatsa limlokh, for one came out from the house, from the dungeon to rule. Ki gam, for another, gam. Gam can sometimes just make things strong. I'm not going to say also. I'm going to say like even. B'malchuto, in his kingdom, nolad rash, was born poor. Okay, I'm going to read that one more time. Just normal pace. I'm not going to translate, okay? Ki mibeit hasurim yatsa limlokh. Ki gam b'malchuto nolad rash. How'd you do? You guys doing okay? Any comments or questions? Thank you for all of you who are with us in the live premiere. I really appreciate that. And those who watch later, I appreciate your comments and questions as well. Okay? If you like what we do here, please consider contributing. It really, really helps. It really, really helps. None of it is wasted. Verse 15. I'm just going to scan through this, and this will be the last verse we do today. We may do this one a bit faster, so the lesson doesn't go on too long. ראיתי את כל hachayim, hamhalkhim, tachat hashamesh, עם hayeled hasheini, asher yaamod tachtav. All right, let's pick it apart. ראיתי. So this is, of course, the verb ra'ah. Resh, aleph, hey, and the hey went away. Ti at the end reminds us of ani or anochi. So raiti, I have seen, I have noticed, I've observed. Et, we don't translate. Kol hachayim, all of the life. Hamhalkhim. So the verb is halach. It's a PL, so it's like to walk around. and it's a participle, mehalkhim, or those who walk around. Hamhalkhim, those who walk around. So raiti et kol hachayim, I saw all the living, or all the life. Ha is being used here like asher, who mehalkhim, who walk around, tachat, under hashamesh. And this is usually the word shemesh. It's usually spelled with a segol, shemesh. The only reason it's an is because the etnachta, the little thing that looks like a wishbone, like a chicken bone, that guy has caused it to lengthen from to ah. Hashamesh, exact same meaning as hashemesh, the shemesh, the sun. Raiti, I have seen, and sometimes Qoheleth uses this as I've considered, like like he's thinking about it. I've seen, I've noticed, I've considered et kol, all of hachayim, the living. Who hamhalkhim, who walk around, tachat, under hashamesh, the sun, underneath the shemesh. Ayin mem, with hayeled, with the baby, with the boy. Hasheini, the second one. Asher, who? Yaamod. So the verb is yaamod. Ayin mem dalet, which is to stand. Ya at the beginning means he stands. Tachtav, under it. Sorry, I accidentally stopped my recording. Now it's funny. There's been throughout the centuries many commentators that are bothered by this hasheini here, the second one, right? But what's the deal? Why does it bother anyone? Why would Qoheleth have written it if it wasn't supposed to be included? And some have tried to do away with it, but all textual witnesses have it, so it is authentic. Okay. The other youth, the other lad, the second one, hasheini. Now, Dr. Seow points out that yaamod, this is something that is, you can see in context. It kind of helps to place the time in which Qoheleth was written, that it truly belongs in late biblical Hebrew, right? Other things like we see sheh a lot instead of asher and things like this, because yaamod in late biblical Hebrew is often used in place of kum, to arise, So even though yaamod means he will stand, it's got the nuance of yakum, he will stand, he will arise rather. Tach, after him. So what's being discussed here is the first lad, back in verse 14, the one who, 13. Did we really tear through that many? Okay, yeah. Oh, good. Okay, back in 13. Hold on, where were we? 13. The lad who's tov yeled, better, is a lad who's miskein, a commoner, v'chacham, and wise. Right? This is the lad we're talking about now. Okay? He will eventually be replaced by hayeled, hasheini. Hayeled, hasheini, a second lad. Another lad will come along, another youth will come along. Asher whom will yaamod, he will stand. Literally, we wouldn't see it really used this way in Torah Hebrew, but in late biblical Hebrew, it's like saying he will kum. We'd see it in Torah Hebrew as kum. He will arise. Tachat, under him. Tachtav, which means in his stead, in his place. Okay? Now I will read through, and you try to translate before I do. Raiti, that's Ra'ah, Resh Aleph Hey, Ti, I have seen. I should point out that Rabbi Fox seems to think this could mean, it could actually mean foresee, like I have foreseen. Okay, let's go through one more time. This time you just do your best to understand. I'll just read and we'll be done. Chayiti et kol hachayim hamhalkhim tachat hashamesh. im hayeled hasheini asher yaamod tachat. Okay, appreciate you guys, especially special thanks to our monthly supporters or even one-time supporters. If you haven't read my book on Genesis, get it. Soon we're going to start the cycle again. And yeah, maybe I'll raise the price before the. Just kidding. I'm not really. I hate to sound like I'm thinking about money. Really, it's really not that way. I really am thinking about the ministry. I chose this because I like it. I like to share with people the word and give you the gift of the original language. I used to be a software architect. It's just a fancy name for kind of a sage programmer. And I learned to program when I was 8 years old. On a Commodore VIC 20. So you even know what that is? It's for those who couldn't afford the Commodore 64. So, and this is the career I've chosen, right? I studied aerospace engineering at university. I studied Russian studies, studied all kinds of stuff, and ended up as a programmer. And yeah, but this is my love. My love is being in the Word with you guys. And please, 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 when you give, it helps to make that possible that I can continue to do this and not be tempted to go back to the big money thing. Buy a house in the Philippines in a year with that kind of thing. So anyway, just please, please, please forgive me if I've been asking a lot lately for contributors. It's not greed or anything like that. It's just trying to find ways that I can keep doing this for you guys. All right, that I can keep this stuff free. All right, much thanks to all of you. Please pray for our ministry. Pray for what we're doing here. Pray that the algorithm will be kind instead of oppressive. And I will see you guys on Shabbat when we have our usually 2 hour lesson on the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. Until then, be well, may your day be blessed, and keep studying Hebrew. It's worth it, friends. Shalom. Shalom.